there's not a lot of ingredients. We need some heavy whipping cream, sugar, vanilla extract, and 5 eggs. This is gonna make around 3 or 4 creme brulees, okay?
Okay, so we're gonna start by separating our eggs. We are only gonna use egg yolks for this recipe. So I know there's a lot of little tricks out there that you can do. Whatever works best for you to separate your eggs is fine. I find that when you do it by hand, it's just more guaranteed. So I use 2 different cups and I crack it over the bigger one. This is gonna hold the whites and it's gonna hold the shell. And then I just put the yolk into my hand and I let all that white come off till all I have left is a yolk, and then I place it into my other cup. And I'll do the same thing for all 5 of these to get ready for my mixing bowl. Okay, so these are my 5 egg yolks. I'm gonna put them into my mixer. And those are gonna go with exactly 3 ounces of sugar. Throw that right inside. This is just regular sugar. And I'm gonna turn that on and let it mix until the egg yolks are real light yellow and kind of fluffy. While our egg yolks are mixing, I'm gonna add 2 cups of heavy whipping cream to my pot. This is just a regular pot, nothing fancy. Try and get all of that in there. And I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I'm gonna throw a smidge extra. I like vanilla flavor. And then I'm gonna set that on a medium heat while stirring constantly. Disclaimer, I completely forgot, I'm making half of my normal recipe, and it's a full tablespoon for the full recipe and a half tablespoon of vanilla for the one that I'm doing. So I actually only added about a half a tablespoon, not a full tablespoon, but we are constantly stirring it on the stove right now.
To a nice pale yellow color, so it's time to turn it off and move on to the next step. All right, the next step is very important and kind of nerve-wracking. So what you're gonna do is turn this back on at a lower setting, so like 1, and then you're gonna pour in a cup of the mixture that we just heated up very slowly, because if you do it too fast, you could cook the egg yolks. So we're gonna start pouring this carefully, slowly, all the way in. Oh no, dropped a little bit there, that's okay. Slowly, slowly. Got my first cup in, here's my second cup. This one doesn't have to go as slow, but just pour it in. We're gonna turn it up a little bit.
We're gonna turn on our oven. This is gonna bake at 325. Our next step before we fill up our ramekins, let's talk about what a ramekin is. A ramekin is just the dish that's gonna be used. This isn't done in a normal pie plate, it's done in one of these. So you can use anything kind of small, shallow is what you're looking for, something that's not very deep. But this is a ramekin, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. I like these best. Totally up to you which ones you use. But before we pour into that, on top of this, as it mixes, it kind of puts a layer of bubbles. You kind of want to just skim the bubbles off so that when you pour the liquid into the ramekins, it's nice and smooth. So I just take a normal spoon. Try not to get too much of the liquid, but I try to get the foam off the top. Again, it doesn't have to be all of it. You just want to get as much as you can so that you're not going to end up with bubbles on your actual creme brulees. So our next step is just to pour the liquid from our mixing bowl into the ramekins. You can do this any way you want to. I'd like to just spoon it in because I'm afraid I'm going to make a mess because I tend to make a mess. But I just spoon into each one. And you want to fill them up pretty well to the top, maybe not 100%. But you're going to do each of these ramekins the same way until they are all completely full. Okay, the next step is the part that I struggle with the most just because I'm not super coordinated. So technically, the ramekins go inside of a baking dish because we're going to surround them with water and they're going to bake in a water bath. That's how the creme brulees bake. I'm super untalented with doing this stuff. So I put my pan onto the stove rack before I add the water just because I know me. You want to do your absolute best not to get any water inside the ramekins themselves. So I tend to pour off to the side, and you want to put enough water to fill up the the pan about halfway up the side of each ramekin. Let's see if that's what it's doing.
These will cook for about 30 minutes or until set. Do not let them get brown. So, hey Google, start a timer for 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. And that's starting now.
So our alarm just went off. We took them out of the oven. 2 of them came out pretty perfect. These 2 browned a little bit too much. Probably should have kept an eye on the oven a little better, but they're still gonna taste fantastic. But that's kind of what you want them to look like. If I take my pot holder and give it a little shake, not too much because the water will go everywhere, you can see the liquid inside the ramekins is completely solid. Okay, I'm using my pie server to take these out. You got to be really careful when you take them out because you don't want to get water into the next one. So you got to take them out really carefully.
Once they've cooled for about 30 minutes, we're going to put them in the fridge. But first we have to cover them in saran wrap. You want to be very careful and try to do it as tight as possible. It's nice round. I got in there a little bit. That's okay. As tight as possible. And last, they're gonna go inside the fridge for like 2 hours. So this one takes a while. So just leave them be.
Okay, so we have taken our creme brulees out of the refrigerator. We've unwrapped them. And on each of them, before you serve it, you want to get some sugar. I usually take just a regular spoon like this. And you just lightly put sugar all across the top of the creme brulee. Yeah, I make a mess every single time, so I'll clean it up after, no big deal. And you kind of want to get as much as you can in every corner without getting too much sugar. Spread it out on there, get the little edges. And then comes the fun part. Okay, make sure only adults do this part. You need a torch. This thing, nice big fire, and you want to literally go over the sugar, and what you're doing is burning the sugar. The more you burn it, the better the top layer will be of your creme brulee. What you're looking for is a nice crisp top, so when you bust through with your spoon, it kind of cracks through. You can see the sugar starting to bubble up, browning. Don't worry if you feel like it's too much, you can go back some, but I like it to be nice and toasty because it's going to make it so much better in the end. And there you go. That's what you want them to look like after you have torched them.
Garnish with your favorite fruit.
And this is how you know it's done. Listen. Oh, perfect.
And it should look like this. Delicious.